Hello, Namaskar. This is Murtaza Ali Khan, and I welcome you to this very special segment, which is part of the India Unleashed series. And at our very first episode, we have with us a very special guest, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, for those of you who do not know, is an eminent educationist, an institution builder. He's a senior journalist, academic, and an able administrator with some amazing track record. Sir, it's really a pleasure to have you, and we really would love to talk about your journey to begin with. As I have already given a brief introduction, you started off as a journalist.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little about your journey, how it all started, because it will be very inspiring for a lot of youngsters out there.
Thank you, Murtaza, for having me on your show. It's bringing back a lot of memories. I started off as a journalist in the late 80s, but then my journey began when my father used to be a voracious reader. He used to be a government officer, and my father used to be a voracious reader in the sense that from headline to the print line he used to read, and he used to actually underline the important things that he read in the newspaper. That aroused a curiosity in me as a child, and I started following him. I started reading the newspaper. The letters to the editor used to be a very powerful thing those days. Now though it doesn't exist at all. Hardly it exists. So we used to have almost half page in the editorial segment dedicated to letters to the editor. And I started writing letters to the editor.
Wow.
And my name started appearing. And those days we only had the print media, electronic, couple of hours of telecast and stuff like that. Doordarshan primarily. So when my name used to appear, our relatives, friends, our social circles would mention, your son's name has come in the newspapers. That gave me the kick, to write further. I used to regularly write for Times of India, for Hindustan Times, and obviously they used to be very thought-provoking, my reactions, my responses to the letters, to the articles which used to publish, my own perspectives I used to share. Slowly it shifted to writing articles. I remember there used to be a publication, The Teenager, which used to be published from Allahabad. It was brought out by the St. Paul Society. I became a regular columnist for them, and they used to pay me a little bit also. That was good enough for my pocket money.
That's like an icing on the cake.
Absolutely. And then, this journey I started writing elsewhere also. And I never realized when I, became passionate about journalism. I remember a family friend was very disappointed when she asked me that, what do you want to become? I said that I want to be a journalist. My family had no idea. There has never been a journalist in our family. So there was a lot of resistance. My father wanted me to be in government. I was there for some time in government, but then I quit that, which certainly, caused a lot of resentment within the family. And I went, my first foray, you can say, into journalism was a very senior friend of mine, Deepak Basu Roy Chaudhary, passed away, and his family wanted me to take charge of the two magazines he used to run from Sujan Singh Park, Urja and Urja Oil and Gas. That was way back, and I took charge of that. Imagine a 23-year-old young boy with a team of 10-15. Wow. I started feeling that I have arrived. Whereas I had no clue about mainstream journalism. I started attending a couple of press conferences. That is when I realized that, this is not journalism, What I'm doing is basically the corporate publication, where it was more of public relations rather than real journalism. I was desperate to shift to that, but I was not getting a break. I worked in a magazine in Nehru Place called Business Sphere. I became its associate editor. I again had a good team and associate editor plus a good salary also. And good salary in the sense that those days I was paid 5,000 rupees, which was, premium at that time. That is when I read this in the newspaper about this openings in the Press Trust of India. And by then I had already established myself in the sense that I'd started writing for PTI features. My articles used to get published in Free Press Journal. Evening news, I used to be a regular contributor, And I remember many stories, including the coverage of the synagogue in, Delhi, the Jewish synagogue in Delhi, and all that I covered extensively. Then, this PTI thing, it was only for a sub-editor training. I was already associate editor.
Wow.
And I went and met them and I told them, they said, look, at PTI we take only as freshers. There is no way you can. And they offered me a salary of 2,200. And I was already drawing 5,000.
Which was a severe cut down.
Severe cut down, not even 50%. But I said that I want to, understand, because I had no clue how to go about any, in any other, I had no links, nothing. I was new to the profession, nobody in the family, nobody in the friend circle. And I was working in this peripheral media where people had no clue about mainstream media. So I went in, but then that was life changing, I must say. PTI, I was, unlike the practice of somebody having to spend few years at the desk before moving to reporting. Within a year of my joining PTI, I got a big break. I got into reporting. I started, working extra time, and I used to come out with very exclusive stories. And that, I was able to carve out a niche for myself, because the management started seeing a new face who had suddenly appeared from nowhere, and after his desk duty, I would do some very interesting stories. And that again, kind of gave me, they started sending me for some interesting assignments, started covering that, and they felt that this guy has good reporting skills, let us utilize him. Then I joined local reporting, and I used to cover the crime beat, the municipality, as is the India International, the Jantar Mantar protests at Jantar Mantar. And then gradually, as I said, that I started getting into the assembly. I started covering the assembly, and after that, I remember I have covered many chief ministers, including Sahib Singh Verma, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit, and all those people, Sushma Suraj and all that. So we had covered, and then subsequently, they brought me to the bureau. That was a remarkable. What helped me was that I got a lot of opportunities in PTI. I have never, for example, I had never traveled by air before going into PTI. I had never traveled abroad, and in the early 90s, I got my first opportunity to travel abroad. And then that gave you so much of confidence, kind of. And simultaneously, I still remember a friend of mine whose sister was working in Ambedkar College. They had just started this thing in journalism, a program in journalism.
Right.
So, and believe me, honestly speaking, by then that the wage boards had not come, and it was a struggle, I had family responsibilities also, and as initially, honestly speaking, as an extra income. So very reluctantly, I started going to Ambedkar College to teach.
Wow.
And this was when I was not on duty, or I had completed my
So work.
Yes, only work. I don't remember like many of my peers going to the press club and spending hours in the evening, relaxing in the evening. No. And maybe that made me a workaholic. It still continues.
Right.
I still, whether as a Director General, Vice Chancellor, or now Director Habitat, I work till late in the evening. 9:30 is very routine. That habits have not gone. I never became an officer in that sense. And I started going there. I started taking classes. But then the classes were hugely popular because I used to share the ground realities, unlike the theory papers which they used to be taught. So they said this guy comes and he actually shares the, how to report from the ground and different aspects, from news agency reporting to crime reporting to assembly to, all that I started teaching. And that gave me a lot of confidence that I can. 1998, they started inviting me to Indian Institute of Mass Communication to teach a full-fledged module on news agency journalism in the English journalism course.
That's incredible.
So I became associated with IIMC.
The
also.
most premium institute of journalism in the country.
And around that time, I remember in the Noida, you had a campus of the Makhalal Chaturvedi University. They also got to know about me and they started inviting me. And a couple of colleges in Delhi. So I really had to, it was really difficult, balancing my day. Obviously, one institute a day was my. So Saturdays were lean days. I would go to Janki Devi College. They used to run a certificate program. Then one day for Ambedkar College, one day for Makhalal. So every day I used to have a class. But I never compromised so far as reporting also. I was the best reporter. Every month I used to win the best reporter award. And my reports used to get the best report award rather. And it continued like that. I shifted to the bureau. I started covering the ministries. From ministries, I started covering the parliament.
You've covered both the houses?
Both the houses I covered. Then I started covering the home ministry for some time. The Prime Minister's office, particularly during Mr. Vajpayee's time. And of course, during that period of Mr. Devagowda also I covered, because
mostly the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah. And it was around this time that I started covering the Vice President. I traveled with the Vice President. The then Vice President was Bhairav Singh Shekhawat. I traveled with him to even South Africa. And by then, there was so much of confidence and all that, that I can cover anything. I can meet anybody. Did a lot of exclusive stories. 2005 was, I have covered many important events. But I think the biggest political story I did, because by then I had become chief political correspondent of PTI. The biggest story was, Mr. Advani's visit to Pakistan. And,
very controversial.
And I was the only journalist at that particular point inside the Mazar of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan. And there in the visitor's book, Mr. Advani wrote something, and I just repeated it. I did not add any spice or masala to it, but I never realized that this could turn the political fortunes of BJP forever. It would change BJP forever.
In fact, India, I would say.
Yes. And that was a report I would always remember for a long time to come, because it was just reporting what he said. Though I had an inkling that he will say something like that. I always, because at the airport also the informal discussion I have had with him gave an inkling that he wanted to shed his hardliner image, which I found throughout his journey. Even when he went to his school in Karachi, he addressed his school, and at that time also it was there. So that was a turning point, I would say. I've done, of course, bigger stories also, but this was, politically, this was one of the big stories that I did. And Subsequently, I decided to go into electronic media, diversify myself. My friend was running a channel for NRIs. He said that you can be the South Asia Bureau Chief for that. I joined briefly, but honestly, that did not work out the way I wanted it to work out. Then subsequently, I joined Z. Z was at that time. Z had tried to take over UNI at that time.
Right.
So the management had certain ideas because of my experience from PTI. But then that also did not work out. That was an experimental stage for me. Then I went on to Asianet, and in 2015 I became the senior consulting editor with Doordarshan News.
I wanted to come to that actually.
So that was my journey till Doordarshan.
So we will talk a little about Doordarshan, but I also want to talk about his time at India Habitat Center, and I also want to tell you, if you do not know already, that he really is instrumental to pushing languages at India Institute of Mass Communication during his tenure as DG IIMC. Then when he was at Makarlal Chaturvedi University as the Vice Chancellor, he was instrumental to starting a course on film journalism, PGDM. But first, let's start with Doordarshan.
Yes. So I got this opportunity there, and I was given a free hand by the then chairman, who was a friend of mine, Dr. A. Surya Prakash. He was the chairman, and he gave me a freedom to make a lot of changes. The new government had just come in, so we had a lot of opportunities. So some of the iconic programs were, of course it was teamwork, but then I played an important role in all of them, and my colleagues, of course, played a very critical role in that. And they included programs like Vartavali, which in fact I went for the launch, informal or soft launch, to the World Sanskrit, 16th World Sanskrit Conference at Bangkok. The then Information and Broadcasting Minister, late Sushma Swaraj, she herself was an erudite scholar in Sanskrit. So I still have that clipping of my video interview with Sushma ji. And then after that, we started, I had accompanied her to that place. Then we started Dotuk, which again became a very landmark program because it allowed for different diverse political views to be shared on the same platform.
I think is very important for a public broadcast.
Yes, and that was a very important thing. Then of course we had other programs like Good News India, which was launched at that time, which has now crossed several milestones, which has been appreciated by the Prime Minister also. So many programs. We brought DD on Android app at that time. The speed news was begun during in fact I gave the time 5 minutes, fast 15 was my tagline.
Wow.
So we started the speed bulletins on Doordarshan News. It was a very memorable innings. I again used to wait till the last bulletin live show, till 10 p.m. and after that only I used to go home. And it was a memorable innings at Doordarshan.
I really want to now come to your tenure at IIMC, because that is when I got to see you working from up close, and there have been so many wonderful exchanges that we had on All India Radio. I had the pleasure of moderating so many wonderful discussions wherein you appeared as an expert. So I want to come to now your time at IIMC. How was that? And you brought in so many revolutionary changes. You gave a big push to languages and across centers.
This opportunity came to me when I was still at Doordarshan. And I responded to an advertisement, and I had already I knew IIMC like the back of my hand. So, because I've been teaching there, so I, shared my experience, and perhaps that factor worked to my advantage that I got this appointment. I mean, it was only a 3-year tenure, but then the kind of work we did. I was the first full-fledged journalist to head the, there were earlier information service officers, people from, other backgrounds who were there. But I was even academicians were there, like Professor B.P. Sanjay, Professor J.S. Yadava. But I was the first hardcore journalist to, become the Director General of IIMC. After that also nobody has become.
Right.
After I left also. So in that way, it was a kind of...
like in that way you continue to be a torchbearer.
Yes. But couple of things that I did was, I can say that one, turning that into a deemed to be university. I felt that it deserved. I really had to. I can write a book on that. How I made it possible. The letter of intent was issued during my tenure. We prepared courses which are approved by UGC. But unfortunately, after I left for a couple of years, it was put in the back burner. But again, fortunately, it was taken up again, and finally, today it is a full-fledged university. The new media department.
I remember you posting about it. I think you were among the first few people.
Absolutely.
So excited you were.
The new media department, was set up by me. IMC was never on social media. The social media pages were started during my time, Today it has maximum following.
True.
They were all started during my time. I decided to invest in the permanent campuses. We were running, except for Denkanal, we were running from,
That's true.
the other university campuses.
That's true.
Of other universities. In again in Mizoram, we completed that work. In Jammu and Amravati, we acquired land. In Bandera, in Maharashtra.
Very, very
in Jammu, I got the Prime Minister to lay the foundation stone of the Jammu campus. And then, I decided to make these campuses relevant to the region. To the region.
Yes.
And that is where I started the language programs. I started Marathi journalism from the Amravati campus, Malayalam journalism from the Kerala campus. I upgraded the Urdu was only a certificate program in Delhi.
Yes, I remember.
I made it a full-fledged program. I started the Sanskrit journalism program. At that time, it received a lot of flack also on the media that, but it was so well conceived. Now it has been abandoned. But it was in conjunction with the Lal Bahadur Shastri Sanskrit Vidyapeeth.
True.
So it was a program basically for students of Lal Bahadur Shastri Sanskrit Vidyapeeth. Based on my experience when I launched Vartavali,
right,
that we had a lot of scholars in Sanskrit who knew Sanskrit very well, but had no idea about journalism. So for them, I started this certificate program.
Such a noble idea. I hope we can have it back.
I set up the Community Radio Empowerment and Resource Center, which is now organizing community radio pathshalas all over the country, and the National Media Faculty Development Center was set up by me. Every building in the campus was named by me. I won't say renamed. They had no names. From the administrative block Chanakya Bhavan to the officers at APJ Abdul Kalam to Girls Hostel Ranima Gaidinliu, to everything was named by me in the campus, today. Even the road connecting IIMC with JNU created by me. So we were able to do, again, it is 3 years. I worked almost like 6 years, because I used to work till late in the night, and that is how.
And as they say that when there is a will, there is a way. So if you are really committed, and I've seen you, even during tenure at Makhalal Chaturvedi University, we spoke often on phone. I remember.
Absolutely.
I think I was among the first few privileged ones. You informed that you have started a course in film journalism.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was so excited.
No, I started a department.
Department in film journalism.
A department of cinema studies. We started.
Yes.
It was the first in Central India.
And a very special place you chose for it also.
Absolutely. And again, that was Makhanlal was another, but in between there was another journey. I set up the School of Modern Media at the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies in Dehradun immediately after I left this place, IIMC. And then, of course, during Corona, I got this break in Bhopal when I became the Vice Chancellor of Asia's first and India's largest media university. It was another hectic journey. I don't remember in any of these journeys taking a break and relaxing.
Once again, it's like connecting the dots, as Steve Jobs would say, that you were associated with Makhanlal Chaturvedi at the Noida campus, and now things turned full circle and you became the Vice Chancellor.
Absolutely.
Similarly with IIMC.
Absolutely.
Similarly with PTI.
No, similarly with Doordarshan. I used to be a panelist and I became the editor.
Yes.
I used to be a guest faculty at these two universities, so I became Vice Chancellor and Director General. So that was very interesting. So Makhanlal again was a different, kind of a university, and again, a national level English journalist, to head Makhanlal University, and I was the first person from South to head a university, Makhanlal University, and then again 1.5 years were lost in Corona.
Right, that's true.
But then I did not lose those 1.5 years. I used to spend my time in the new campus. I completed the whole new campus. No interiors were done. I finished buildings like the auditorium. We hosted the Chitra Bharati National Short Film Festival. And then we launched this Department of Cinema Studies. I got the university shifted to 3 new campuses. One in Bhopal, the sprawling 50-acre campus, then one in Rewa. This campus, Bhopal campus, I got inaugurated by the Vice President of India, Mr. Dhankad. Rewa campus, I got inaugurated by the then Chief Minister, Shivraj Singh Chauhan. And then there was a campus in Datia, but of course it was a renovated Kendriya Vidyalaya building. I got it inaugurated by the State Home Minister, Narottam Mishra. So 3 campuses. Not just that, starting new courses like mobile journalism, rural journalism, social media management. We started so many new courses. I set up the community radio station, Radio Grambir, I set up there. Weather station in collaboration with so many international conferences we organized. 36 PhDs were cleared. For the first time, Makhanlal started figuring in national rankings, like India Today and other places.
That's true.
We went for NAC for the first time under my So, we did so many things at that time. It was breakneck speed. Again, we did the work of 2 tenures in that 1 tenure. That was the speed at which we streamlined all the academic processes which were pending for a long time, the convocation, the academic council meetings and all that. Everything was streamlined. So now it's a full-fledged campus. So my successor just has to carry forward the legacy. So all the initial what should you call the teething troubles were handled by me, and I'm pretty happy now that I've come back and now back in Delhi with a new responsibility.
We will come to that, and actually we can call Delhi, the really Karam Bhumi, so to say, because it all started here for you in a big way. And now Professor K.G. Suresh is heading basically India Habitat Center. He's the director of the India Habitat Center, and just right at the very onset of his center, he started this Bharat Bodh Kendra, which was an amazing initiative in itself. We'll talk a little about Bharat Bodh Kendra definitely, but also about your bigger vision at IHC, what we can expect now that you have really decided to make it truly inclusive.
Absolutely. Again, there is a first. I am the first academician and journalist to head the India Habitat Center. India Habitat Center, as you know, is a leading cultural and intellectual center in the heart of Lutyens, Delhi. And India Habitat Center, people know it in different ways. For some it's an eating place, for some it's a meeting place, for some it's an office complex. But there is no integrated approach towards it. Unlike IIC, which is considered to be a cerebral kind of a place, we decided to take it back to its original purpose, which include being a think tank on matters related to housing, urban affairs, environment, sustainable development goals. That is important. So that academic and research part was missing in that entire thing. The director's job essentially became a purely administrative job. Most of my predecessors were from the Indian Administrative Service. So it became more or less like that. I decided to put in that intellectual component, which I found a little amiss. And that is why one of the first steps that I took was to set up the Bharat Bodh Kendra, where I felt that it should not be just a segment within the Habitat Library, which is one of the most prestigious libraries in the country, if I may say. But to talk about India, today that is the mood of the nation. Indian knowledge systems are being incorporated into our academics. To have a sense of pride in our achievements, our civilizational values, our history, there was no specific segment for that. So now the India Habitat Center has been, as now we have set up this Bharat Bodh Kendra. I got the Minister of Housing, Shri Manohar Lal ji, to inaugurate it. And the second step, and it has become immensely popular within a couple of months of its establishment. We are getting new books from Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, to Sri Arvind, to Indian history, culture, a lot of stuff is there. But we also started organizing programs under the AGs, which includes book discussions, seminars. So the first of the program, for the first time, we at IHC organized the International Yoga Day celebrations were organized for the first time. The second intellectual component, which I think at IIC is so I decided to rename the Habitat HLRC, which is the Habitat Library and Resource Center. I renamed it as Habitat Library and Research Center. So research is now an important component so far as Habitat is concerned. So we are trying to help the government also, particularly the Ministry of Housing, in that research areas. Of course, we will be proactively engaging in the coming days. The third thing is the Habitat, Learning Center, which is our, in a way, so to say, that our corporate social responsibility. We train students from underprivileged backgrounds through nominations from NGOs. We have this program of training them in information and communication technology skills. So we have decided to introduce courses like mobile journalism, social media management, so that these students, they are also, equipped, vocationally equipped, not only to do jobs but also to create jobs, to be entrepreneurs. That's how we are looking at it. So I look at both HLRC and HLC as our intellectual arms. The Habitat should be known by its intellectual component. We are looking at making Habitat user-friendly. We are very soon going to introduce, and I can announce it for the first time on your show, that now it would be a smart card that they would be getting. Earlier the membership card had nothing smart about it. It was only an ID card that you are a member. But now you can pay in advance and you can actually use that card to kind of make your payments. We have already gone in big time for digitalization. The Habitat calendar, which used to be mailed to over 9,000 members, printed and mailed, it used to cost us approximately 2.5 lakhs per month, so almost 30 lakhs per annum. I have decided to close it down.
And there's so much wastage of paper also.
Absolutely. So we are a model we are
going green.
4 on Griha ratings. So we should be working on digitization. So this, decision we have taken. So from August onwards, there won't be any.
I think it's a wonderful initiative.
So apart from, of course, saving 30 lakhs per annum, we are going to further explore, water harvesting. Already we are an environmental friendly complex, but to increase the component of non-conventional energy at our centers. In our restaurants, the menu card is now not only being offered on demand for some senior citizens or others. Otherwise, QR codes have been placed on every table. That is being done. So a lot of feedback mechanism has been strengthened. There is a quick reaction to certain things. So I think that overall we have for the first time introduced mementos for IHC members, They can souvenirs. IHC souvenirs are now available at the IHC counter. These are all the first time things are happening for the first time. So many things can be expected in the coming days. More intellectual activities, more tie-up with academic institutions, more intellectual exercises. For the whole idea would be to democratize, to not of course the members are very important for us, but also to open it up for non-members, although in a limited way, particularly the younger generation, how we can involve the younger generation, how we can reach out to the younger generation. We already have theater workshops for them and stuff like that, sketching workshops, and how more we can bring them. That would be part of the we are also empowering our employees. We have got about 700 employees, including outsourcing. We are tying up with hospitals for their CGHS, for their treatment, OPD treatment at CGHS cost. That agreement is being signed. So employee welfare measures. So it's a 360-degree kind of approach to administration that I have taken. I hope that we will be able to herald a new chapter in the history of India Habitat Center.
Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, if I call you the man with the Midas touch, I think it won't be an exaggeration. Thank you so much for joining us, for kickstarting our India Only series, as the first guest, and we wish you success, greater glory as you continue to take India Habitat Center to new heights, and also for anything and everything that you are associated with. And I know there's so much that you are a part of in an advisory capacity and as a consultant, and so it's not just India Habitat Center. You continue to do so many different things for our youth and for our intellectual capacity to build and grow further and further.
Thank you, Murtaza, for your good wishes. Thank you.
So this was a great conversation with a very, very enlightened individual, Professor Dr. K.G. Suresh, and this is our first episode of the India Only series. This series will continue, and I hope that you enjoyed today's episode and you will continue to offer more support to our future episodes as well. Thank you so much.